Formula 1 has started, most of the endurance championships are going on, and all of your favorite racing has started as well. Likely you have seen that most of the top guys do this thing called sim racing, and I'm here to give you a guide about this hobby of ours. How to start, where to look, what to play, and what to buy. Whatever the reason, welcome, hope you stick around. Let's break this whole sim racing thing down step by step. In this video, we're going to go through the main areas of sim racing, from hardware choices and technical considerations to prioritization to the sims themselves, and finally, the mindset that actually helps you stick with this. The idea is to move from simple concepts to more complex ones, so you can build a clearer picture as you go. This isn't about pushing you to spend money, it's really more about helping you understand what matters before you do spend any money at all. But before going there, a big thank you to all the viewers, members, and subscribers. Without you, videos like these wouldn't be possible. I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers this year. The best way to help is pressing like, subscribe, checking out the affiliates below, and also have a look at our sponsor, Coach Dave Academy, if you need any telemetry help, if you need something to help you out to get faster, setups for the main titles, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Le Mans Ultimate, and even Gran Turismo 7. Anyways, before buying anything, you need to ask a simple question. Do you even enjoy sim racing? You don't need really a wheel to answer that. If you already have a controller, that's enough to cover the start. Even a keyboard works if you're just testing the waters. The goal here isn't performance or checking out if you are fast, it's just figuring out if you're going to enjoy the process of driving, learning tracks, and improving over time, and consequently failing at everything you do. It's just normal. A lot of people skip this step and go directly into buying equipment, only to realize a few weeks later that this thing of sim racing is really not for them. So it's worth spending a bit of time here. There are a few titles that are quite cheap and open enough to have some fun, so if you end up not liking sim racing for one reason or the other, you won't break the bank, and if you stick under 2 hours, Steam most likely will give you money back. If you find yourself coming back to this, trying to get better, maybe getting slightly annoyed at mistakes but still wanting another attempt, well, that's usually a good sign. If you decide to move forward but you are still not fully committed or convinced about the long-term longevity of this hobby, your first setup should reflect those options. The goal is quite simple, is to get something that works well enough without locking you into the hobby, and this is where entry-level bundles come in. Options like the Logitech G29, Logitech G923, or even the Trustmaster G300RS are dated but popular for a reason still. They are widely available, they are relatively affordable and easy to set up. You get a wheel and pedals in one package, and they can be mounted directly to a desk. Another advantage is that they hold their resale value quite well, so if you decide that sim racing isn't for you, you likely can sell them without too much trouble and without losing a lot of its value. There are also newer entry-level direct drives bundles that are worth considering. These options include the Fanatec CSL DD Ready to Race bundle, the Mazda R3 bundles, the Mazda R5, and Trustmaster T598. The main difference here is going to be force feedback. Direct drive systems are stronger, smoother, and more detailed. They also tend to be part of an ecosystem, meaning you can swap wheels and upgrade components later, and by going to a bundle, each part of the kit becomes cheaper too. All of these options will likely have some sort of mounting systems for desks, so the entry cost becomes lower. That said, there's still a serious investment of your funds. If you are unsure, a basic bundle is still perfectly valid starting point no matter what the haters say. You also need to think about what type of platform you are racing on. You have the console, which was basically widely available everywhere, and then you have the PC. Consoles are ready essentially to go, and PCs you do need to build them in accordance of the title that you are going to cover, otherwise you can have bad performance. But that said, upgrading like any hobby is where things get expensive, and this is the part where sim racing can turn into a money sink if you are not careful. Once you start upgrading, it's really very easy to keep going. You get just a slightly better wheel, you get a slightly better pedal set, a slightly better rig, or an upgrade component for your PC. It's slightly better everything, And while individually each upgrade makes sense, together they start to add up quickly. So before upgrading anything, it's worth thinking about your priorities. I have a video specifically directed at upgrade ideas and thought processes. You should have a look at that, but the long story short is to always budget and always prioritize, otherwise your wallet is going to suffer, and if you have a spouse, they will not be happy. You also need to think about where are you going to mount your first rig. Are you going to do it on a desk, or are you going to have some sort of sim racing rig? A desk setup works for the start. It's really not perfect, but it's good enough to get started. The main limitation is going to be stability, especially as you move into stronger wheelbases. Wheel stands are the next step up. They are more stable and still relatively compact. Then you have full rigs, which is the thing that I use. Aluminum profile rigs are the most common long-term solutions because, well, they're modular, they're adjustable and very rigid. If you are planning to stay in the hobby, this is usually where people end up with. If you do go this route, look for something with a 80 profile. That level of rigidity is more than enough for most setups and gives you flexibility for future upgrades. Your setup is going to be a big part of what you are going to see out there because you have to think about the display that you are going to use. And displays do make a big role in immersion and awareness. So a single screen is the simplest option. It's really easy to set up, it's easy to run. It doesn't really require much effort. Larger screens or ultra-wides also can improve immersion without complicating things too much. Personally, I use a 55-inch TV because I found it was a very good way to get a big immersive screen while not spending that much money and not requiring much from my PC. But in sim racing, there are other step-ups, and the most popular one will be the triple screen setups because they wrap around your field of view and make it much easier to see what is happening around you. The trade-off is cost and performance. You will definitely need a stronger PC to run them properly and a proper way to attach these triple screen setups. That will increase your cost. And then there's VR, which can be either quite cheap or very, very expensive. But in terms of immersion, VR is really hard to beat. You get a really big sense of depth, awareness, and scale. It is very convincing, but it comes with trade-offs of comfort, performance requirements, and sometimes image clarity depending on the headset. Some headsets are good in terms of clarity, and some of them have a big field of view, but the bigger the VR head screen in terms of field of view, normally that means you will require a much more expensive headset. But if you are on the consoles, apparently PSVR 2 is actually quite good. But anyways, there's no single correct choice here. It depends on our priorities and, as always, your budget. Then we have all those small little pieces of your sim rig. We're talking about wheelbases, and if you are upgrading from entry-level gear, this is usually where people notice the biggest difference because direct drive wheelbases are now the standard beyond the beginner setups, and the price gap is close enough that belt-driven systems are harder to justify. Of course, if you do upgrade, going to belts or gears doesn't really make sense. A torque range between 90 meters and 50 newton meters is generally considered the sweet spot. It's strong enough to feel detailed without being excessive or too expensive. Nowadays, most major brands offer something in this range, and the difference between them are smaller than you might expect. It's stuff like the ecosystem or the quick release or the compatibility between systems that is more important. However, I would say that if you really want to spend some money in sim racing for an upgrade, it will be on the pedal set because this is the part where people most often underestimate. And pedals, especially the brake, are where a lot of consistency comes from. If you are upgrading, look for load cell pedals at the minimum. These measure pressure instead of movement, which makes it much easier to build muscle. There are plenty of good options in the mid-range, and most of them offer some sort of adjustability so you can tune your feel. Higher-end options like hydraulic or active pedals, they do exist, but they are not necessary unless you are going all in, and the jury is still out there if these actually are any good in terms of performance. You'll also have to figure out if you are going to race cars with clutches or if a 2-pedal set is enough at this stage. Most of the pedals will allow you to upgrade later on if you want a clutch. Once you have a way to drive, you need something to drive in. In reality, it should be the other way around. On the PlayStation, you have Gran Turismo 7. This is one of the main options. It blends accessibility with competitive racing and has introduced a lot of people into sim racing, and Forza Motorsport is another option across platforms. It offers a similar mix, though with a different feel and structure. On the PC, the options expand significantly. For example, iRacing. It's still the go-to for structured online racing. It has a rating system, you have scheduled races in a strong competitive environment. There's really so much to race there. You have stuff like Mazda's, Miata's MX-5s, GT cars, hypercars, lots of formulas, and even ovals. You got the dirt stuff and you got the NASCAR stuff. So there's so many things to go to race on. And then you have Assetto Corsa in the PC. It's more of a sandbox. You have mods, you can drive almost anything, anywhere. You can race stuff like MF Ghost or the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. If you want to do that, basically you can. And it's not an expensive title. There's so much free stuff out there, and you can have a look at it without breaking the bank. There's another title that is also a little bit of sandbox. It will be BMG, that even though it's not a sim racing title, the simulation part of it, it's pretty fun. Assetto Corsa Competizione focuses on GT racing and offers a more specialized experience. This title is also available in the consoles, but with Assetto Corsa Evo, Assetto Corsa Competizione lost a lot of support and now is a dying platform. And speaking of Assetto Corsa Evo, this is the new sim. It's still in early access at this stage. It promises an evolution of the Assetto Corsa brand with multiple types of classes and a great roster of tracks. It could be in the future a bigger title, but at this moment it's missing a lot, and Kunos seem to steer direction of this title in another way out of the Gran Turismo from the PC. It seems to be something else now. As for Le Mans Ultimate, it focuses on endurance racing, including events inspired by the 24 Hours of Le Mans, so it's based on the WEC marquee. So if you like endurance racing, Sebring 12 Hours and stuff like that, this is one of the most played GT platforms, especially for endurance racing. Other sims like R-Factor 2, Race Room Racing Experience, and Automobilista 2 offer different strengths and are worth at least having a look. There are also other new cross-platform titles like Rennsport and Project Motor Racing, but these two have a lot of issues at the moment, and its value, they don't seem to be the best right now. Then you have the rally titles, for example, Dirt Rally 2, EA Sports WRC, and Richard Runs Rally, each with different levels of realism and difficulty. But now there's also Assetto Corsa Rally. It's a new kid on the block with tremendous potential. It's a whole deal of fun. Getting the titles and the equipment is really not the big thing about sim racing. The big thing is you're gonna probably struggle at first. You're going to spin, you're going to brake too late, you're going to miss apexes, and it's basically normal stuff. And improvement in sim racing is very gradual. So instead of just driving laps, try to focus on specific things, braking points or consistency or smoothing inputs, and watching faster drivers can help. So can telemetry tools if you want to go deeper. Big plug to channel sponsor Coach Dave Academy. This is a great place to have a look if you want telemetry, you want data, and you also want setups to get faster. But the basics do matter the most. We're talking about braking technique or throttle control and checking your racing lines. Everything else you're going to do on sim racing is actually going to build on this. You also have to think about something that is easier to overlook, but it's going to matter a lot. And sim racing rewards your mindset. It rewards your patience. You're not going to be the fastest driver immediately, and that's fine. You're going to have to measure your risks. You need to avoid taking unnecessary risks, especially in early races. You need to focus on your consistency and clean driving. You have to respect the other drivers because mistakes are going to happen, yours and the other people, and how you handle these will matter. But most importantly, you need to enjoy this process of sim racing because the progress will feel slow, but it does add up over time. Sim racing is one of those hobbies where you get out what you put into it. You can keep it casual or you can go very deep into it. Right now, it's more accessible than ever. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get started. You don't need to go to the best equipment. Even the low entry stuff is good enough. All you need is some curiosity, a bit of patience, and a willingness to learn. So if you're interested, try it. It starts simple, you can expect mistakes, and you can see where it goes. You might end up sticking with it longer than you expect, so I'll see you out there.